Hi, this is Spence, and this is the 1WD University course on the WooCommerce social login extension. Now, this extension allows your customers to link their store accounts with a social media account for easier and faster checkout. Your customers will no longer have to remember another username and password. Instead, they can simply use their preferred social network to create an account for your site, allowing for a frictionless checkout experience every time. And if I go into the dashboard, you're going to go over first to the plugins area, installed plugins. And here I've already uploaded it using the plugin uploader. However, if you want, you can also use an FTP client to unzip that zip file, grab the WooCommerce social login folder, and drag it up to your wp-content/plugin area. And this is all contained in the PDF for this or mini course. Then we're going to activate it. Once you've done that, we're going to go over to WooCommerce settings, and that's where most of the setup is going to be. First thing we do is go to social login, and that's what's going to allow us to see the options. There's really one main setup page, which is pretty straightforward. So let's run through that. We're going to display this where, and if you want to know what I mean, you just click the little question mark. Here we only want to show it on the checkout page or the My Account page. There's another option. You can put it on the checkout notice, but we don't need to worry about that. Next, decide whether you want to show a link your account on the thank you. And this is useful when you have people who use the guest checkout. So on the thank you page, when they're about to leave, you can actually ask them, hey, in the future, do you want to use social login to link to this site? That'll make it easier for them in the future to check out quickly. And then you can change the message. This Force SSL option is not required for the 3 social profiles we're going to use today of Facebook, Twitter, and Google. So I don't recommend you worry about this. This would be necessary for Amazon. It's a very complicated process. I don't think it's even worth the trouble. And then finally, just like with the regular gateways, we can organize these in any order we see fit. This will change the display layout on the front side of the site. Let's click Save Changes. Let me show you what this looks like before we go to configuring each of these networks. So if we visit the site, let's go to the shop. And if we were a customer who came to this site, now actually what I want to do is I want to demonstrate this not on my profile. I want to demonstrate this with an incognito window. And here's why. There is a security feature built in that prevents this from working for administrators. And the reason is simple. If it worked for administrators, you might have some real security problems in the future when another site wants to send you something that requires you to validate with an email or that sets up some kind of double authentication. So they've just made it that it simply will not work with administrators. As such, when you're testing it, just use an incognito window, as I am, to pretend that you're just a stranger coming to the site. Here I'm going to add a new shirt to the cart. And when I do, when I go to check out and view the cart, now I will see the messages available because I've already set this up of for a faster checkout, log in and register using your social account. And I click, it opens up the dialog that I could choose Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. I've used just those 3 because I think that'll cover all your bases. There are others available that you can look in the documentation for, including Amazon and LinkedIn and PayPal and so forth. Now, when you use these, it's really simple. So for Facebook, for example, it'll pop up a modal window. You can log in with your Facebook credentials. In this case, if I did, let's say Spencer at 1WDTV, and I use my credentials here to log in, it will give me that standard dialog. Do you want to confirm? Yes. I think I typed my password wrong. Let me try it one more time. And done. Now, what that did is, number 1, allowed me in so I can finish the checkout, but number 2 is it created a profile for me on the back end. So let me show you that. If I go back to the dashboard and I look inside WooCommerce, I will see there's potentially some information about me, but really I'm going to just go right over to the users table, all users, and we will see that here I have now created the profile of my Facebook Spencer Foreman. Actually, I take it here. This is it here. I did a test with the Twitter before. This is my Facebook social login. So it did that, and it sent me as well, I'm not showing it here, as the user, it sent me an email that said, hey, you've logged into this site at Woo Social Login, this WooCommerce store, with this name and this email, Spencer at Spencer Foreman. So it's easy for me, easy for the customer. Now this means in the future that any orders that come through that this person logs in through Facebook will be associated with this user. Makes it easy for both of us. Okay. Now let's go about the configuration, because that's how it works and that's how simple it can be. In the configuration, we'll go back to WooCommerce and we'll go to settings again. Now let's set up each of these. They're very different, and I'm going to breeze through this a little because I provided you in the documentation that you can download for free with this course every one of the steps that are important, and they include the links. However, the actual steps are a little different for each, so let's just run through them and I'll cover them like I was starting from scratch, even though I've already set them up. Okay, so here's the Facebook. And for Facebook, what's nice is they give you a link here as well. You can open up the documentation, and when I do, it will give you the link that I've also included for you to the Facebook developers area. And that's where we're going to start. Be sure before you go to the Facebook developers area that you've actually logged into Facebook. Okay, so here, developers.facebook.com. Again, I'm logged in under my Spencer at 1WDTV. The first thing we're going to do here is we're going to go to apps, add a new app. And the display name is whatever you want. So my new social login app. Contact email, category, I think that's probably optional, but just choose business. Create the app ID. Now you're going to use this CAPTCHA, which is really bizarre. I don't even know. XAUV4SW. That's crazy. Hopefully I got that right. Okay, good. Next is we're going to go, that was a wild one. Let's go over to settings, basic. And here what we're going to do is make sure that we click on add a platform. And for this, we want to choose a website. And we're going to put in the URL of our actual site. So here, this is my site. I don't need anything other than the root of the domain. So don't include the shop part. Paste that in, and then I'll scroll down and I'll save the changes. And then I'm done with that. So now I can go over to the app review and I can decide to turn it live. Make my social app public. I click yes. Yes, I want to make it public. And now it's good. Now, one of the things I want to show you here is in the dashboard, there's going to need to be the app ID and the app secret. So let's go ahead, back over to the developers area, and we're going to get the settings where we can get the app ID. I'm going to copy it. And by the way, this is different than the one I'm using. I'm just going to show you how I did it. And we're going to paste that in here. Okay. And for the secret, I don't mind because I'll delete this afterwards for myself. I'm gonna type my password. It's very secure. So there's a couple times you're going to need to do this probably. Let's try this again. Okay, now it reveals the key. And I'm going to go ahead and paste that in under the app secret key. Now I could change the text or the button text. This is for my login and this is for the linking button. Okay. Either way, if I'm happy with it, I save it. Be sure that before you're done, you also have enabled it. So if that was off, be sure to enable it and save it. Next, let's go ahead and set up the Twitter. Now Twitter's a little different because they have something in here that is a URL called a callback URL. And this is something that is going to be used by the Twitter API itself to send back information to this site that says, yes, they're authorized to log in. So we're going to need that. Let's open up the link to the docs, as we had just done before for Facebook. Be sure that you are likewise logged in to Twitter. So when I click here on apps.twitter.com, I'm going to be going to the app creation area of Twitter. Notice I am already logged into my Twitter profile. It's important that you also verify your phone number. So if you have not verified your phone number, go to your Twitter account, log in, and then click on your profile. After you click on your profile, there is a little settings option. In the settings option, you can click under mobile and you can go ahead and configure. So that's twitter.com. Click here, go to settings, mobile, and then you can put in your phone number. I've already done mine, which this is our public phone number here at 1WDTV. You need to do it for yours, and then once you save that, you'll be authorized to create an app. Now, I've already created one here, but let's go ahead and create it from scratch. So what we're going to do is call it something, and we'll call it sample social login. You can call it anything you want. Allow folks to log in with social. Website, a same idea. We're going to use the root of our real working site. And then the callback URL is that thing we just talked about. So you need to grab this URL here. And this is how it's going to talk back and forth with Twitter. Let me move that so I don't do that again. Okay, and then finally say, yes, I've read the developer's agreement. Create the application. And now when you have that, you're going to go to the keys and access tokens area, and you're going to grab the two things we need, which is the consumer key. We're going to paste that in here under consumer key. Be sure there's no spaces in there. Next, we're going to grab this key, which is the secret key. Not as secret here as is in Facebook, apparently, but secret enough. Set your button and your link text, or your login button and link button text, and then save changes. Again, I didn't ask you to do that, but make sure that this checkbox is enabled so that it also shows up as an option. And then finally, let's do Google. You'll notice these are very fast once you know where to look. So for Google, again, we're going to open up the docs. It's going to then tell us how we can access the Google developers area, where we're going to create a new project. So be sure that you're logged into Google with the appropriate profile that you want to use this with. Up here, we're going to click under Create Project. And by the way, I had to zoom this in a little. I'll zoom it back out because Google doesn't allow me to reach the key at the bottom. You'll see that in a second. So new social login, auth, whatever you want to call it. This is just private to you. It's not going to make a difference. Next, we're going to go to credentials. And now we're going to go ahead and say, yes, we want to create credentials. And we're going to create an OAuth client ID. And we're going to do it for a web application. And we'll call it anything we want. Whatever makes sense to you. Now here's where we're going to need the same thing, the redirect URL. So back in our setup, we've also got for Google a special URL for the redirect. And we're going to put it in the second box, authorized redirect URIs. And then here we click create. And when we do, we're going to get the two keys that we need, the client ID and the secret ID. So click copy. We're going to paste the first one, of course, here. Make sure you have no spaces in there. And then the next one, we're going to copy. And we're going to paste it. Here's the secret. This time, check that our box is enabled. Then also check your text. And then click Save Changes. Now, that's it. We're done. Let's test this out in real life. So what we've done is we've set up the 3 different services. And if we want to change the order, we can drag and drop them. So for example, if I want Google to be in front of Facebook, I can do that. Save the changes. Okay, now to check our work, we're going to go to a new browser. I just decided to use Firefox so that I don't have any caching issues with being logged in. I'm going to add something to my cart. And I'm going to go actually to the cart and then click to checkout. So let's view the cart. Proceed to checkout, and now we see our social login option here, where Google is first, Facebook login with Twitter is last. This is how you do it. This will make your site a lot smoother for anybody who otherwise is comfortable with one-time login. It'll also make it possible to have a much higher likelihood of conversion. At least that's been proven. By reducing friction, you increase the amount of likely sales. This is Spence, and I'll see you on the next course.